Alright guys, so today I'm just going to be going over the process I go through when I paint any Nerf gun, just to give you like a base to build off of for any Nerf gun that you want to be painting. So the first thing I do every time I paint a Nerf gun is to disassemble it fully. That way, if I want to do like multiple colors, I can save some painter's tape and just use the natural lines between each part to get a clean paint job. That's why if you see any of my custom guns, they'll usually change colors on lines that are already there on the gun. The second thing I always do when I paint Nerf stuff in particular is sand it down. Now, pretty much every factory Nerf gun will be made up of some sort of plastic with a shiny coating that paint, even plastic-specific paint, will not stick to. So you gotta make sure that you're sanding down every surface very thoroughly. I'm talking spending like hours with just some sandpaper working away at the plastic till the shine is gone. Another part of prepping a gun for paint is to primer it. Primering a Nerf gun is basically where you buy paint specifically labeled as a primer, or labeled that it can be used as a primer. And what it does is it makes the perfect surface for paint to stick to. Basically, if you wanted to primer a gun, you would just put down a single coat of primer and give it a few hours to dry before painting the gun the colors you actually want. Primering is completely optional as far as Nerf guns go, unless you're really planning on like hydro dipping it or using like a paint that really needs a good surface to stick to. That's like a completely different topic, but for most painting purposes, you don't really need primer. Next thing you're going to want to do is thoroughly wipe down the part you want to paint with a wet rag to get off dirt and oil on the gun that could interfere with the paint drying on the surface and sticking to it properly. I wouldn't really recommend using any degreasers or alcohols, as Nerf plastics and the paints used on them are susceptible to solvents. Alright, just to quickly touch on paint choice, I would just say to start with any cheap rattle cans and just upgrade later if you choose to. One warning I would give you though is to only buy cans that you're sure you're going to use, and buy new colors as you need them for each project, because you could end up buying a bunch of colors you don't need right off the bat and never end up using them. Alright, so once you've done all that stuff, you should be done prepping, and you are ready to paint. Start just by shaking the rattle can for at least 1 minute straight. Then remove the cap and hold the can about a foot away from the part. For me, it was windy, so that wasn't really going to work. Don't spray paint when it's windy. Start and end each paint stroke off of the part, and then keep the can moving at a medium speed throughout the stroke. You do not want to hold the can still and then spray the part. You can see that I'm making multiple mistakes in the video by stopping in the middle of the stroke, and I also used way too much paint. It's always better to use multiple thin coats rather than one too thick one. On each coat, make sure to go from different angles so you can get paint everywhere evenly. Once you're done with the coat, you have two options. You can hold the can upside down with the cap towards the ground and the bottom in the air and spray till you don't see any color anymore. The other thing you could do is put it in some of the chemical that I showed in the video, and then just swish the cap around in the chemical, and then wipe off the excess paint on the cap with like paper or cloth. Then just pour the chemical back into the container. You can always reuse it. This way you can make the can last longer and waste less paint. Now, spray paint takes about a week to be truly dry, but it will be dry to the touch in about 5 minutes. I'd recommend giving it 24 hours to dry between coats when you switch colors. Longer if you're in colder temperatures. Otherwise, if you're doing another coat of the same color, you can just give it about an hour or so between coats. Alright. Alright guys, that's all I've got for today. In the next few videos, I'm going to cover hydro dipping, clear coating so you can preserve your paint jobs, and safety while you paint. I'd really recommend you wait and watch those when they come out before you try to paint. But at the end of the day, it comes down to experience. The more you paint, the more you mess up, the more you make mistakes, the more you learn, and the better the paint jobs will come out. But hopefully my video inspired you to just try it and give you some maybe it gave you some basic info on what to do when you want to. For now, you can watch some of my other videos. Before you go though, drop me a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. I'm Skirmish Customs. Have a great day. See you guys.